Hey there, Monday Movie Club fans. We are a movie club. Like a book club, but instead of reading books, we watch movies. Hey, how does a book club work? Do they watch one a week, one a month? They read what?
If they're watching books, it doesn't take them that long to put it there,
Are
look
they
at it.
reading one a week? One, because we watch one a week.
The
Just
book
like
clubs
one a
I know of
month.
usually do like one a month.
One a month.
But they usually get together and have drinks and food.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, that's
more
the
of a wine
difference
club.
between the movie club and the book club. Yeah, we don't
They
talk
have
about
fun.
we don't talk about how all men are scum and drink wine, except Amy sometimes does.
Yeah, they actually eat and drink and don't really discuss the book very much.
No, Amy, we have video proof that you were drinking during one of our tapings.
Oh yeah.
So, all right, this week it is my choice, Driving Miss Daisy, which won the Best Picture Oscar in 1989. I'm Frank Gaffney. Here with me is Fenster of the Joel Variety. Do you have more movie clubs today?
Nope. Today's a one movie club day.
I'm glad we're the only one. Annie King has her hair back. No dim sum for her today. Amy Goldman, who had to put a bra on for this. I don't know why. We can't even see.
If Cringer comes over, you will see. But he's
Oh,
not. He's sound asleep.
And Mark Wotis Gartner, who's back from a whirlwind tour of Florida. So like I ask every week, Frank, why Driving Miss Daisy? Well, every movie I picked this year was because it was the next movie I had to watch for the Franken list, 1001 movies to watch before I die. This is number 352. Although I've watched more movies than that.
And you're not actually going in any real order at this point, from what I see.
I am.
Well,
But,
your
but
numbers-
because I recalculated my list again this year, I've watched some of the movies in between, so numbers get skipped because I already watched them already.
And I get screwed by watching Little Big Man.
That is true.
I'm gonna watch that today.
Thank you.
All right, so let's discuss let's discuss what the Franken list is. How about that?
okay.
Okay.
No, I forget it. So, all right. So, well, what we do need to discuss is the Best Picture discussion, which we often have when it comes to Best Picture winners that we feel are not quite deserving of the honor. If the Franken list was picking the best movie of 1989, the winner would be When Harry Met Sally, which is the highest rated one. Then Field of Dreams, then Crimes and Misdemeanors. It would be a Crimes, I miss Crimes, I Misdemeanors. Then Driving Miss Daisy, then Born on the 4th of July. But
With
in
the Poets Society.
exactly. In
That's
2015,
why the Franken list has problems.
no,
He's only
it's
talking
on
about the
there.
ones that were nominated, right, Frank? You were just talking about the 5 that were nominated
No, that's the five highest ones in the order on the Franken list
for all of '89.
for 1989.
Oh,
Dead Poets Society is number 6. In 2015, The Hollywood Reporter polled hundreds of Academy members, asking them to recast their ballots in several contested races. And for 1989, the nominees were Driving Miss Daisy, Field of Dreams, Born on the 4th of July, Dead Poets Society, and My Left Foot. Who do you think the Academy members gave the award to?
My left foot. My
Yeah.
left
I would
foot.
say My Left Foot.
Yeah. I don't really remember it enough to give it an award.
I remember loving it.
Honestly, I would have given it to anything but this film. Not that this is a bad film by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not the same caliber.
Well, I love it. Let's have a little backstory on Miss Daisy. So it was an off-Broadway hit with Morgan Freeman creating the role, and Dana Ivey played Miss Daisy. It won the Pulitzer Prize for Best Drama. And it was written by Alfred Urey, who based the characters on his grandmother, who was a Jewish woman living in Atlanta, who had given up driving her car after she had an accident, and her chauffeur of 25 years. He wrote 2 other plays on his experiences growing up in Atlanta as a Jew in Atlanta, one of which Amy Goldman starred in, Last Night at
That's not a
Ballyhoo.
ballyhoo.
Yes. And File Under, I did not know. When I saw, my biggest takeaway from Ballyhoo was that Jews in the South celebrated Christmas so they would fit in. I'm like,
Ah,
really? So in the movie, when she's like, a woman with that nose shouldn't be saying Merry Christmas to anybody, it's because she frowned on that practice, but a lot of Jews did do it. And the other play is actually being revived right now. I don't know if it's on Broadway or
No,
off Broadway.
It's at City Center Encores. And from what
Right.
I understand, there's not a good seat in the house because of the set. There's set issues and sight line.
Oh, really? I hadn't read that.
All right, and that musical is called Parade, starring Ben Platt. So all three have incorporated actual events that happened in Atlanta while his family lived there. And here we have the impacts of the bombing of the Hebrew Temple in 1958, and then the dinner honoring Martin Luther King in 1964 when he won the Nobel Peace Prize, incorporated into our show. All right, so Driving Miss Daisy charts their 25-year journey. Morgan Freeman obviously reprising his off-Broadway role, and Jessica Tandy taking home an Oscar for her portrait of Miss Daisy. And Dan Aykroyd got his only Oscar nomination as the long-suffering son, Booley. And I think they all deserve their nominations. But for the most part, it's really just a two-character play. And Morgan Freeman and Jessica Tandy are the real reasons why this movie is so great for me. They, it's like it's a love story between these two people, but no sex is involved. No comments. And I think it's beautiful to watch. And Jessica Tandy goes from age 72 in the movie to age 97. The film won a Best Makeup Award for that aging process of all three of them. And Jessica Tandy was 81 at the time, making her the oldest Best Actress winner ever. And of course, they go on to be lifelong friends. And director Bruce Beresford, I feel like I'm giving a lecture. Bruce Beresford was not nominated, making this as best director. He, I think it's an unfair distinction for him. I think he's a very good director, and that makes it. This is like one of four pictures that won Best Picture, but the director wasn't even nominated.
Well, it directed itself.
The film directed itself.
Obviously, it could have if Morgan Freeman had been in the off-Broadway production, the Broadway, he knew.
Yeah.
He knew it. He knew it like the back of his hand.
Yeah. You don't need to
But
direct.
one moment, this is Bruce Beresford. So he did a lot of. He's Australian, right?
Yes.
Australian. And he did a lot of movies about the American South. Crimes of the Heart being one of them. But one moment stuck out for me in this, just his lovely direction. So when Hope first gets there, he was looking for something to do. She doesn't want him there. He says, you have space in the back, you could build a vegetable garden. And she poo-poos it, whatever I don't want. And then an hour later in the film, there's just a shot of both of them working in the garden. And you see the huge tomato plants right next to Jessica Tandy. There's no dialogue, but you see the progress they're made, and no histrionics about it, no dialogue at all. He doesn't say, "Oh, I knew you wanted a vegetable garden, Mom," and she doesn't say, "Oh, Hope, your ass is out." Nothing. It's there. It happens, and you see the progress they're making. It's a beautiful moment. And my last thing I'm gonna say, there's a little inside joke going on, because when they get up to Booley's house, and his wife Florine is played by Patti LuPone, and we don't see Florine in the play, but in the movie you do. And when they're driving, Daisy says, "I hope she doesn't take it into her head to sing tonight." That's pretty funny.
I missed that.
Considering it's Patti LuPone.
That's funny.
And how great to see Esther Roll as Idella. She didn't have very much to do, but it was fun to see her. Anyway, I think it is just a lovely little movie. I enjoy it very much, and I've seen it several times. And but I'm looking for my pen. I'm you know, I appreciate their performances and I think it's a lovely, and I also worked on the show when Nancy Thody played Miss Daisy, so I know the play very well, and I think they did a brilliant job. All right, so I'm giving it 3.5 stars. You know, I love fractions. It's just, it really is just a lovely ride. Aim, did you enjoy it this time?
I enjoy every time I've seen this movie. I hadn't seen it in a very long time. But I remember loving it then, and I loved it this morning. I just, the two of them together, and Jessica
Yeah.
Tandy and Hume Cronin have always been two of my favorite actors. And Morgan Freeman can do no wrong. I mean, he's easy reader, so I've loved him since the 70s. Love him.
And here he couldn't read. How ironic.
Oh my God, that's right. Ah. Oh God, when he's walking through and the B and the aura, Frank got a lot of us with the Visa
Yes,
aura.
of course.
I love this movie. It's so sweet. To me, the song, the theme song, da, 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 is so iconic.
Right.
The scene where he says he asks her permission to pull over to make water is such an incredible scene. You could see in his face the shame of having to ask. Oh my God. But also the phrase make water, I thought was the cutest thing I had ever heard when I first heard it.
Well, he was trying to say it very delicately.
Yeah, it was adorable. And also I loved when he said, did I ever tell you about the first time I left the state of Georgia? Well, that was a few minutes back. Oh my God. It's fabulous. Even though you can kind of tell that line was coming. And the fact that the whole thing runs an hour and 40 minutes, and you see the house and it says for sale. And after a 45-second montage, the house is sold. I mean, it just moves beautifully. I love this movie. The only nit I would ever pick about it is in the cemetery when they're planting flowers. You don't plant flowers in a Jewish cemetery, and Alfred Erie knows that.
It's it's the South, and things are different in the South, or were different for the South. Were
Jews.
different in the South for Jews for
Oh, okay. You're
a
right.
long time.
She had to keep up with the southern part of it.
Yeah.
I'll give you that. And they were hiding it
Yeah.
much more. Okay.
My
Yeah, I
concern
did.
about the cemetery was that, it's a good thing that the last name wasn't like Berger or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, there could have been a million people with
Yeah,
a
I thought that
and
too.
a horror.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
she didn't know what was in that row. Could have been
Yeah.
the whole family of B. Horace.
Yeah.
Arthur's.
Love it. I'm giving it easily 3.5 stars.
It also, it's so, and I've seen the play a few times. And the thing I love about Morgan Freeman really is that how beautifully he plays Hoke, because he completely knows his place in the society, and at the same time he manages to get things for himself. Like when he gets a salary, he gets the car.
Yeah.
So he does stand up for himself. At the same time, he knows how he's got to play the game.
Yeah. When he got the raise to 75, that was brilliant. And that just reminded me that the other scene I loved is when they go to confront him about stealing the salmon, and he shows up with cans and says, sorry, here's the can. Oh my God. And she's just like,
and Jessica Tandy is perfect when she just hands Booley back the can and says, oh, gotta get ready.
yeah.
She's just like, well, just great.
Yeah.
Annie, did you love it too?
Yeah, I totally enjoyed it. It was my first time watching it, actually.
Oh, right.
And out of the
And
five,
being a Jew from the South, you could really relate to it.
yes, for sure. It was good. It was actually the only movie out of the 5 nominated that year that I had not watched. I'd seen all the rest of them, actually. Is there still a Piggly Wiggly down south? They still have those?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? That's why I
Yeah.
thought I knew it. I was like, that sounds really familiar. And Danny had to stop the movie when they were reading from the Torah just to make sure they were saying the right things. And because they are. So
Wow.
That's
yes, he
great.
was able to read it and he was like, yep, it's
Wow.
correct. So
That's great.
That's a talent, especially depending on A, the size of your screen, and B, the fact that the words in the Torah have no vowels, so you have to
Yes.
know what they are.
having been bar mitzvah, he did
Yeah.
know. Yes, I thought it was great. They're really perfect together. I love the way that it just moved like year to year. And I had a little trouble at it, and Danny's like, no, 5 years have passed already. And
Right.
he was like, on the radio it said, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you want to see like a little calendar going 1942,
Yes.
1958?
just like
I would have liked that.
all of a sudden I was like, what just happened? Like he at one point, like, oh, he knew how to read already when it was just like the day before. And so I was a little, it took me a little while to catch on to that. But
Yeah, I mean, obviously in the play, since it's so episodic, the lights go down and you just assume it's a later time.
yeah. Oh, it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. I thought they were great together. It was just a snapshot of what it was like down south, and I like that it was a Jewish woman, and for sure I thought she was going to leave him the house though at the end.
That would be nice.
Yes. But when I finished it, I was like, oh, it just ended. And then thinking back on it, I was like, it actually ended pretty well. It was
Yeah.
like just
mean,
a beautiful.
Yeah, she's losing her mind and she's 97. They're not going to have very many more encounters. And I loved his Coke bottle glasses at the end. That was brilliant.
Yeah.
I was
Yes,
like, oh my gosh.
that was
he's so
progressed.
blind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that he was still paying him every week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was great. So yeah, 3.5 for me.
All right, Joel, you said it was a good movie, but not the best picture.
No, it's I agree with pretty much what everybody says. I just think that the other four movies are slightly better. If we're talking about
So
three.
this would be number 5 of the top 5 nominees.
If I'm looking at everything else that was nominated that year for various things, it might be number 6.
Wow.
You also had like, as you said, Crimes and Misdemeanors, Henry V, Do the Right Thing.
That was 89?
That was 89. Sex, Lies, and
Oh, wow.
Videotape, When Harry Met Sally.
All right. Well, I would certainly pick Do the Right Thing as the best.
Cinema
picture.
Paradiso. So,
How did I
yeah.
just said that?
What?
Are you sure? 1989?
It was
Oh.
1989. We just reviewed it not that long ago.
I
It
know.
was 89.
So
Well, then
anyway,
that would have definitely been. Then that would have been the first. That would have been the first one because I know it's in the top 100.
Glory's in there.
Right.
Anyway,
The Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid,
Right.
The Abyss, since you just mentioned that. Anyway,
How I Learned to Drive.
Batman.
I only remember that because when I started at Fox in May of '89, that movie was open.
That was open already. That wasn't
Yeah.
your first movie.
Correct.
Anyway, I don't have much to add. It's an enjoyable film. It moves, I can see, trying to keep track of where we are in the timeline being a little bit a problem as the film goes on, but generally speaking, there's nothing wrong with the movie. It's but sometimes it does feel a little slight, as opposed to other things. But I'll give it a 3.5 like everybody else. So
I think it also. If it had pushed any of the issues further, it would have been a little heavy-handed for me. So I
sure,
like the way it was. I like the way it was.
I'm not
So-
disagreeing with you on that. I think it's interesting. I think because Alfred Urey wrote the screenplay from his own play, he was able to actually open it up a bit more from the stage version, and I think it works well. But there's also, it's like the temple bombing. What does that really bring to the table? Other than, oh, we're noting this and we're moving on from it. We're not really doing anything with the information. It affects the characters.
That's a
for
good point.
one brief scene and that's it. Especially if you look at the other movies, or the not movies, the other plays, specifically Parade. That's
Yeah.
very heavy, in the events that it tackles. So,
Yeah.
Well, the one thing I caught out of that was I guess a bonding moment, because Morgan, she says,
sure.
who would do such a thing? And he says, you know, as well as me, it's the same people that always do it to us.
Of course.
Right. Right.
Then he goes on and tells the story of when he was 10 and
Yes.
Right.
his friend's father was hung.
Right.
And I especially like when they got stopped by the police, and I don't remember the exact line, but he's like a Jewish lady and a black man. They're gonna have a hell of a ride.
And that is not what he called them.
Wow. because it kind of put them on the same level for that person.
Yeah.
He didn't see them any differently,
Mhm.
which
Yeah,
is, I think it's Alfred Uri's larger point.
Yeah.
That Jews were persecuted
I mean,
almost as much in the South.
It's funny because I had an aunt who was from Alabama who was very, very much like Miss
Wait
Daisy.
a minute. I have an aunt from Alabama, and all she brings is apples.
Right. Yeah, there you go. Actually, I'd say it was sometimes more agita than anything else. But
Ah,
yeah. In certain ways, she reminds me of Miss Daisy, and in other ways, she reminds me of the cops.
ah,
So, sweet old lady that you eventually discovered, wow, you've got a racist streak in you, don't you?
Right.
Okay. But anyway, yeah.
all right. Well, Mark G, you got a little tortured this morning, I'm sure.
I just finished it up like 15 minutes before we started this. So, and I definitely have a little bit of a take on it. And I didn't like it as much as you guys. Maybe it's because I just had to rush to finish it up, or I had to watch 2 movies for this week. So maybe I'm a little grouchy, but I certainly thought it was a good movie. I don't want to see it again. And in 1989, I was 14. So I watched none of the Oscar-nominated movies that came out in the theater. I watched Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure 5 times instead. But I did see this before. I saw it probably right around there, maybe when it came out on VHS a year or 2 later. But I
Or
wouldn't
when
have.
it came to HBO.
I didn't have HBO.
Oh no.
Well, not legally. We had an illegal HBO box in the Bronx back in the day.
Yeah, I can
But-
see you just watching the sex channel with the lines. You're like, I can see a boob there, I think.
Well, yeah, if there was an
Grandma.
R-rated movie coming on HBO, you better believe I was going in to put in the tape to tape it. No, I just I guess I'll start with my issue with it, is that Jessica Tandy's character was so unlikable and so hypocritical. And I get that she's supposed to portray the good white America who thinks that they're good and non-racist, and I'm treat the help nicely, but they really don't. I get it, but she was almost overboard, so unlikable, even to her own son. And I didn't get that progress that you guys saw. Every time you think there's progress, she still is, 10 years in, she's not letting him go take a piss as they're driving to Alabama.
Well,
So
no, I mean, she,
No.
growing up and the way she did, and yeah, she was very stoic is the word. But she definitely progressed.
That the whole
I mean, just by asking
the Martin Luther King scene. No, the Martin Luther King scene did it for me, is when she didn't want him coming in there. This is 15,
But
20
she
years
did.
into her drive.
She asked him to go to the
No, she
dinner.
didn't. She said it in a weird manner as he's driving. That's why he got pissed. She did not want him in there. She held on to it until literally they were driving up there
Then why would she bring it up if she didn't want him? That was
to
just
clear her
way.
conscience. To clear her
No,
conscience, but she didn't want it. That's
I think it was just her way of asking. She couldn't really ask him.
no. I agree with Morgan Freeman's reaction was, if you wanted me to go, you would have asked me
Yes,
days
of
ago when you
course.
found out.
Of course,
I-
that
that-
would be his
No,
reaction.
knowing that him as a black man would want to see Martin Luther King and to deny him, that's horrible. 20 years, that's not a bond. That's not a bond. I didn't see the
I
bond.
disagree. She was not denying. She wanted him to go.
No, she
But
didn't.
she just couldn't bring herself to ask.
And then she got mad at him immediately afterwards because he dared to get mad at her for being. No, I'm sorry. I know people like that. I don't like people like that. I disliked her character so much that it brought the movie down for me. Like, I hated her. Hated her.
Wow.
Having said that, I did think that all 3 performers, especially the top 2 performers, were the acting was fantastic. And I'm glad you guys said it. I didn't realize that it was up for an award, but I thought not just the makeup, but just the characters acting older was fantastic. You don't need CGI. They really did look. I think what's his name? Dan Aykroyd in the beginning was given a fake hairline. I think there was more of his real hairline there rather than vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was more his real hairline. But
You have to look at what it was up against for that category. So, it was going to win anyway.
In the makeup?
Yeah. Baron Munchausen and Dad.
Oh, geez.
Well, Baron Munchausen, I thought was pretty good with that, but that's a different way. I don't want to get off on a tangent. Like I said, I don't even have notes. I don't know what else I was going to say. Just it was good, not great for me. I'm going to give it 3 stars. I don't think it was a bad movie. I just her character, and also, and this is personal too, but between my grandmother who just passed away having dementia, and my parents are going through a lot of health issues. I see a lot of it in there as they showed her getting older, and it was a little bit like, oh, I don't want to see this. So that's why I think part of it is I was just like, yeah, I'm just not enjoying it all that much.
Well, here's a question, Mark. What would you watch again, Driving Miss Daisy or Little Big Man?
A question mark. Question mark.
Well, a question mark. I'll answer that by saying Little Big Man gets 1.75 stars.
Ah, yeah, I honestly, I don't know how you didn't like her.
I don't either. I mean, when you see what Frank said earlier, when you see them together in the tomato garden, she wouldn't let him touch anything when she first. Now they're together doing the tomatoes. And what about Hope, You're My Best Friend? Did that just come out of nowhere then
Oh,
for you?
you're my best friend was when she was having a dementia episode. And even again, going back to the scene where he had to ask for permission to go pee, as soon as he was gone, she was like, Hope, she needed him. When she needed him, she was all scared and needed him. As soon as he came back, she was extremely dismissive again. That's not, if you want to treat me like that, we're not going to be friends.
That's showing, again, that's showing her actual vulnerability as opposed to the front that she was
He's putting on the front, absolutely.
I know, but then what? So that makes, so as much as Morgan Freeman is a great actor, and I loved him in this, it makes his character even more unbelievable because he's like an angel. He's the nicest person in the world to put up with that bullshit.
Yeah, but it was his
He's
job
getting
to
paid.
put up with that bullshit.
Getting paid.
No, but I could totally see it, Mark. I can totally see it. There were a lot of times where I was like, come on, you've known him so long now. Like, I think you could, but I understand it's also like the societal,
Right.
upbringing that
Absolutely.
she had and everything. Yeah, I get that, but I
Absolutely.
definitely see it, Mark.
Okay, thank you, Annie. I appreciate it.
I actually agree, Mark, that, I can see where you're coming from. So,
Thank you. Different. Hey, we're all watching the same movie with different eyes, right? So that was my perspective.
Yeah, but I have 4 eyes, so I get more votes.
I think we all can have 4 eyes. Where am I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This group, yeah.
And Annie, just one quick thing, one quick correction before his story when he was 10, his friend's father was hanged. I am hung. That's the difference.
Okay, thank you, Grammar Cop.
And on that note,
Well, the only 2 things I want to say really short is that I remember in the trivia it's the last movie as of 2021 when the person wrote it to win Best Picture and be rated PG, which I thought was very interesting. And it said the studio, but I think it was just probably one nutbag at the studio wanted the cast to be Bette Midler and Eddie Murphy.
yep.
Wow.
there are a lot of actresses who wanted to play Daisy.
Honestly, at this point, they could remake it
At
with
this
Bette
point,
Midler
yeah.
and Eddie Murphy, and it'd probably be terrible.
Well, James Earl
delivery there,
Jones
John.
and James Earl Jones and Angela Lansbury did it the last time it went around. That they were probably pretty great together.
Yeah.
All right, so Miss Daisy is available on HBO Max if you subscribe to that service. Next week, it's Annie's choice. We're going to watch Stripes from 1981 with
yay.
Bill Murray. That is on Hulu. I guess that's our Veterans Day selection for me. And that's it for us. I'm Frank Gaffney. Go watch a movie.
And also with you.